Looks like things are back to normal. Nothing crazy happened this week, at least nothing that I care about. So every week I make a video detailing any video game news that interests me because although Nico and I play a lot of games, he has a tendency to be pretty oblivious to news about them, while I, on the other hand, am pretty obsessed with it. So here's everything I think Nico should know about in game news the week of February 6th, 2022. First up, notable releases. Dying Light 2 Stay Human released on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Not much else that I'm interested in. Next month is going to be a crazy month for releases, though. Anyway. Gearbox released a new trailer for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, showcasing two classes, Spore Warden and Graveborn. The Graveborn looks like a necromancer of sorts. They have dark magic attacks and can drain their own HP to increase the power of their attacks for a period of time, or sacrifice HP to do a big AoE magic attack to all nearby foes. The Spore Warden is an arrow-wielding pet class that kind of reminds me of a first-person shooter version of a hunter. Nico's stepdad is all about pet classes, so I'd be willing to bet money that he'll pick Spore Warden as his starting class. Speaking of starting classes, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands will have something called the multi-class system that will allow you to choose a main class and then later gain access to a secondary class, from which you'll be able to pick a limited number of skills and passive abilities. Sounds pretty cool. I have no idea what I'm going to pick yet, though. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands releases on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC on March 25th. Final Fantasy VII is 25 years old. In a 25th anniversary message posted to Twitter, both Yoshinori Kitase and Tetsuya Nomura shared messages about this iconic game's history and its future. Kitase, FF7's director and FF7 Remake's producer, hinted at exciting new developments in the future, while Nomura said, quote, "And there will be even more new FF7 projects that started up after the remake coming in the future too. The teams see this 25th anniversary as a waypoint on our journey with FF7 and will continue pressing ahead to even greater things, so please keep supporting us going forward," end quote. Honestly, all I want is a remaster or even just a current-gen or PC port of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, a game that originally released on the PlayStation Portable in 2007. That game was so good, and people who haven't played it are missing out on so much interesting backstory about Sephiroth, Shinra, and the events that led up to Avalanche's assault on Mako Reactor No. 1. There's a new game releasing in the Voice of Cards series, Voice of Cards: The Forsaken Maiden. Voice of Cards is a game from the creators of the Nier and Drakengard series, and their first installment, The Isle Dragon Roars, launched in October of last year. I had no idea that Voice of Cards was going to be a series, and I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to pick up this new one. I thoroughly enjoyed The Isle Dragon Roars though, so I probably will. The game's story and battles unfold completely through cards, with a rather cheeky narrator telling the story as you flip over cards throughout your journey. Voice of Cards: The Forsaken Maiden releases on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and Steam on February 17th. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm totally buying this the day it comes out. It will be perfect to play on the airplane when I leave for vacation the next day. PlayStation released a 20-minute video all about Ghostwire Tokyo, the upcoming action-adventure game from Tango Gameworks, the studio behind the Evil Within games. As far as aesthetic goes, it definitely continues Tango's style of creepy, but for the gameplay, it comes across as more action and less horror. I'm a big fan of Japanese mythical folklore, and this game takes place in a reimagined Tokyo full of yokai and other spirits wandering around. The first-person spellcasting style of combat kind of reminds me of playing an Elder Scrolls game as a caster, and I'm looking forward to playing this when it releases on PlayStation 5 and PC on March 25th. I recommend checking out the whole video at the link in the description below so you can find out how this game is like a strawberry shortcake. The food, not the 80s cartoon character. And finally, according to an exclusive report on Variety, Hazelight Studios, the developer of It Takes Two, is teaming up with production company DJ2 Entertainment to adapt the game to film and television. It Takes Two was easily one of my favorite game releases of 2021. Nico and I had a blast playing it, and DJ2 Entertainment is the company behind the recent successful screen adaptation of Sonic the Hedgehog. I mentioned in a previous video that what I love the most about video games is their interactivity, and that I tend to have less interest in movie and television adaptations of games. But in the case of It Takes Two, too, I think it would translate really well. The game's creator, Joseph Fares, is also a film director, and this really shines through in his games. I remember when Nico and I played his 2018 release A Way Out, I definitely felt like I was playing a movie. In any case, there's no studio or network announced for this project yet, but I look forward to checking it out whenever and wherever it releases. And that's it for game news this week. Join me again next week for more news and adventure. Until then, play lots of games and have an awesome week.